Hi everyone, it's Veronica Bartolini with Super Soldier Lady Talk on Codebreaker Real Talk, and we have part 2 with Miss Jessica Morocco and Power Lady. We in the house. We're here, ladies. What's up today? How's it going?
Hey, we're doing good.
Hello, everyone.
This is how we do it, like the song. This is how we do it. And we're gonna start off with this video that I've been sharing. Supposedly this guy was in the alphabet soup and is disclosing all kinds of stuff. Then Jessica, she sent me a video today where he could be an actor. Jessica, you want to talk about that?
Well, I think the original video covered a few different topics. And then at some point there was a testimony, and the gentleman, let me see if I can get his name correctly. That was a problem. It wasn't really quite the name. It sounded like he was reading. He was reading the testimony and talking about what he had experienced. And let's see, his name was it wasn't Albert Bender. No, I can't find his name. Yeah, I think it was Spencer. I think I have it on the other page. Yeah, okay. So it was Joseph Spencer. And then they had him under another name as well. Victor Dante, and then Tom Keating. So they had like a few different names. The guy did a little bit of research to find out who this guy actually was, and if in fact it's legitimate that that's his name. And that's, just like anything, I mean, anybody that talks on YouTube, person really wants to find out whether or not you're legitimate. They'll do a little background about, what you've said, and then they can find out whether or not you're validating what you're saying. So, but there were other topics that came on. It was about Space Force, and we were looking at that. And so, prior to that testimony, there was some very thought-provoking information and some ideas that who Space Force is working for, or what they're doing. And they reveal CERN, and they reveal something with the Egyptians. And it was a lot of things, and they weren't hiding it. So it was pretty much in face value what they were showing. Some of the statistics regarding how many children were abducted, didn't seem like it was accurate if you look at a comparison on census studies, when they have the research in front of you. So I always say that, get the information. If you have someone that's already done the research, take a look at that, but also, don't discard everything, and just kind of look at it and say, all right, let me see if there's something here that rings true to me, even though they're identifying this, there are some flaws in the comments or the testimony.
Right, they even did he slowed down the video and he did the one eye, right after going through the portal. They talk about the cross. I forget the exact name, but there's a cross that is brown on the top.
The Ankh, that's the Egyptian Ankh. Yep.
Like going through a Stargate. So, and then in other people say, oh, it's eating an egg. I'm like, ugh, But there is a video that I sent you guys, and I'll put it down here on the link. I've given classes, and I've talked about this before on the Terra papers. Why is our brain made out of, look like worms, our stomach, our digestive system? They start out this video by saying, oh, there were light beings that came in as one snake here and one snake here. And they came here and they created man, and it has to do with Anunnaki, it has to do with Aldebaran, it has to do with the wars and all that. But I find it interesting that they are still, worshiping a serpent in many religions. And they also use it like in Moses in the Bible. They use it, he's holding a snake, and a staff. The staff turns into a snake, and look at the snake, you'll be healed, things like that. And I'm like, and people believe that stuff to be their gods. So I find it really interesting that Space Force has this entity that they're pretty much worshiping. And then the guy on the video shows the hat and he shows it upside down. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like the Baphomet horns.
Like
you
the
know.
Baphomet, yeah.
Mhm.
The design element of the hat. So it was it had a separation, it came down and then opened up, but flipped around, it would have been horns, and then you could actually see a face. But it was a symbol. I'm trying to remember what the symbol was. That one was turned upside down, it looked like a
It
face.
was the spaceship. And it
The
when
spaceship,
it's
that's what it
upside
was.
down,
Yeah.
it's the face of that creature. So did you see that, Power Lady?
Well, I didn't get the video until later today, so I only got to watch a portion of it while I was cooking.
You didn't do your homework, young lady.
Yeah, I believe we need to cut out the middleman.
Let me get the ruler out.
So we're gonna get rid of the middleman. So when you send out, please send me my own link.
10-4, Roger that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
But I do want to say that when you were talking about the number, like in the census and things like that, and how the many children, there was a discrepancy in the number. Just for an example, like it has to do with the census, there was a time when there were a certain amount of African American people in the country during one census, and then sometime during the next census count, there were like several million African Americans who disappeared. And what happened was that they all passed. If they were a mulatto or they could pass as another race, they did. And so when it came time for the next census count, they were something else. They were no longer African American or Black or Afro American, what they were. So I know that, like, with differences in numbers, and I just think that they did a lot of things with the numbers. You know, it's always 33 million, 17 million. And I think that there was a lot of children that went missing, and I think they did things to cover them up. Like those children, not only were they missing, they probably ended up having children also down the line. And so that increased, you know, the amounts. That's what I think.
Yeah, and then with the Native American too, you know, they still so the ones that we have all these bloodlines, 12 bloodlines to 48, but the main ones, if you notice, they're the 6, the 8, and the 12. You look at the Roman, you know, star is 8, then you have Star David, then you have 6 sides, you have 5 sides, you have 3, all pointing to these families. And supposedly they said that the royal family controls the family of 300. Today I was watching again, I watched it so many times, but the underworld, how, you know, the lichens and the vampires. So one guy gets bit and turns into a werewolf, but he's also a vampire because he was bit by a vampire. And they're trying to figure out the virus. And I find it interesting. It's like, Veronica virus? Who, me? Did I do that? Anyway, he's mixing it up. And then the other dude's like, he's a vampire. And then he puts in the blood of the guy that has the werewolf and the vampire blood in him. So it's all about the blood. And
He became a hybrid.
yes.
He was the first, it was like a new line. He was a hybrid.
Yes. And that's what they use in these secret programs. You know, and then the video, it triggered me so much today. I mean, it triggered me the other day too, but I was like, man, when he said that we are picked, specially picked, and then that we know that when, you know, the S hits the fan or whatever, we're already in trained mode. We already know. We already have the programs in our subconscious. And I'm like, man, here I am wearing my army shirt, you know, my military boots, because I had to go to a meeting. And I get into those my altars when they come in. I'm like, I know that I'm active out there. I'll either sleep in my uniform, I'll sleep with my weapons. Something's going on. I have my backpack ready. Like if I gotta go, she got to go. And I didn't know what was going on. This now I do, but like 2 years ago, I'm like, hey, I asked Colin, my friend, I'm like, dude, like, why do I go to bed like this? And he's like, that's because you're active. I'm like, ah, okay. But it's like we have a knowing. But I don't want to. I don't want to go be mind controlled, you know, to what they want to do with CERN and all that. I've talked about it so many times that I'm not going to go there right now. But we have to be very careful who's talking to you. You got to vet your own intuition. Who's telling you all this stuff, you know, like.
Yeah, because the Space Force, I've seen the Space Force, and I know I'm not working with them, but I've seen them, you know, show up at different times in different places that I've traveled to. And recently, getting back to the Egyptians, I went to this location, and we went to this place for like meditation. And 2 out of the 3 people came out talking about Imhotep, who was one of the Egyptians. And all sorts of weird information came out about this smaller group of the Egyptians, not necessarily the gods, but another group that literally, I think, were retrieving information from the gods, like maybe even cannibalizing their remains or something really weird in the blood again. And I believe that they were influencing what's going on, some of the stuff that's going on right now. So people are picking up all of this Egyptian information, but it's not, it seems to have strong agendas.
Yeah, like again, supernatural. I was talking to Iris, Power Lady, yesterday. It's like they're, you know, I shared that video, and it's the Bon, BON, with the 2 little dots on the end, religion. And this comes from the Hindu religion, which is before that. Guess what they have? The sign of the swastika. In Buddhism.
Oh yeah, it's old. Yeah.
And then they talked about the reanimating, and I've known this for a long time, but I'm like, man, it's coming back again. The reanimating. This is what they did. They sacrificed animals, but they used them also to put spirits in there, like human spirits. So that's why I say, okay, our pets, and there's a chopper.
Right now, there's a chopper there.
So I'm like, okay, do they put the human soul into our pets? Because I've seen my pets in human form.
I have seen that too. Yeah.
And they're just like us, you know, and that's why, okay, we got to treat them like us, you know, like we got to treat ourselves like as royalty that we are, but not with that ego. Like, oh no, you're not a super soldier. You don't belong here. You can't sit here on Friday. We wear pink. Like, you know what I mean? I went off on a tangent, but I was like, okay, what did they do to Max? They bought him a silk suit, and then he had a hole here. What were they trying to do? Were they trying to use him as a djinn? As a puppet? Why is it that they don't want us to know these secrets? It's out there. It's out there. You just got to do your own homework, your own research, because a lot of people want everything spoon-fed.
Right. Well, that's the problem. If people actually did a lot of their homework, which I know it's, some people feel like, well, that's what they're going to YouTube to figure things out. So if they did their homework, then they'd know who was talking about what, and they'd be able to decipher, you know, whether a person is, you know, just talking or trying to bring up information that's not legitimate, or those that actually have a thread of truth or documentation on what they're discussing.
Like right now, what's going on with CG? We're not gonna say the full name.
Oh,
But I did a video 3 years ago. I'm like, he's AI, he's an asset. And now I'm pretty sure he's gonna try and claim insanity. And then how do we look? How do us that are real in these programs look to the public?
well, I think that if when you use discernment and you try to you look at what he was putting out. I mean, it's come out now that what he was saying, he channeled all this information, that he wasn't really in these programs, that the information came through him by being channeled. But there are those like us and many in the community where we have experienced these things. It didn't come from somewhere else. These are memories that are starting to come back. And not only are they individual memories, we see other people. I've seen Jessica, I've seen Veronica, in my dreams. I've seen people that I haven't met, but I've seen on YouTube that I've been on missions with, and none of this is coming from anywhere but me getting my memories back. So I think that if people start using discernment and do like what Jessica said, start doing their own research, doing their own homework, they'll be able to figure out who they should follow, should listen to, or who has a little bit of the correct information and maybe a little bad information. They have to be able to learn how to determine what is right, take that little bit and then go on, till they get the full picture. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah, so whatever, if he said it was channeled, he could have said that in the beginning, but probably was concerned that people wouldn't take him very seriously. I mean, these things do exist. I've said it from the beginning. When my information is channeled, there's no mystery. I mean, so people can either say, hey, I recognize that, and yeah, go for it, Veronica. People either recognize that, or they some people will say, hey, yeah, I saw that as well. And other people will say, I didn't see anything like that, or I'm not really sure about it. And that's fine too, because we're trying to sort things out. But it is really amazing when you have two people, acknowledging and seeing the same thing at the same time. And that presence, that energy actually revealed itself, or there's a recall of memory of an incident that happened. And then you find out later that it actually comes true, or there's some kind of parallel to it regarding another person's information from a previous time that you didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And I think that no one's really talked about how to look at this information, because there are those that are the critical thinkers, the left brain people, and they're looking at everything that's being said. And if CNN or Wikipedia, which is not fully a valid source, but has levels of truth, and some other documentations, but even within information that's, say, from the government, that's for the public, we don't know for sure if that's the correct data, and we'll never know. So, and we'll never know what the true numbers are, because that's for them to know and not for us. So what is actual truth when people are, holding up certain things as fact, right?
Right.
But maybe even those facts are filled with flaws to some degree. So and it's a lot of this is being done deliberately to have us just discard information. Because right now, one thing that video did bring up is that if people are aware, if people speak out, then they have a chance, because of the one world order agenda that they have. Another thing where this other guy was critiquing everything, and he was saying, well, we don't really know if they want to depopulate. Well, there's so many different pieces of evidence around the world, and it's been already done before. I know Bill Gates's family has been involved in a lot of this, because I guess their family should be here. but other families are not allowed to be here anymore, according to his philosophy.
Yeah.
The
Supposedly,
Georgia Guidestones is another example of, so it's not just people fabricating these ideas. These ideas come up because there is something that provokes concern, and ignoring that, then we become part of the system, which is muted, without a voice. I mean, it's gradually going to that direction with the censorship and some other areas. So the people that come out and talk about crazy things, like Phil Schneider talking about his experience in his battle that he had with ETs, and people, questioning him and thought there was something wrong with him, and then he dies. Seriously.
they took him out.
Yeah.
They took him out. And he had a dealing with an ET, or something happened that I think one of his arms was gone.
I remember he had all sorts of wounds on his body, like his torso.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have Captain Mark Richards still in prison all these years because he was talking about a Minerva. I don't know if it was T-Rex or what kind of alien being that was helping him in his ship, and so they have him there. Real quick, can you show that thing you were showing us before? Because I'm like, okay, well, what does Tesla have to do with Trump? Because I know that his grandfather or something like that took Tesla's information. He stole it.
It was his uncle.
Yeah, after Tesla passed, his uncle went there and took all his information out of the, the safe and all the things, his drawings and writings and stuff.
The Faraday cage is very important. I've been telling I have a little group there on Instagram, and I said, you guys, if you can make a Faraday cage over your bed, for protection, or if you can wear those hats that have the EMF protection, or a bamboo hat, because right now, especially right now before Halloween, right? We've been attacked a lot. I've been left and right, but especially in October, because they're trying to get these walk-ins in, with this thing. And then in the video, real quick, I think they were talking about Fauci, or he was saying that he had a meeting with DT and JFK Jr. about the baby Jabberwocky, and so they're all related somehow. What does DT have on them?
I'm trying to do a shared screen.
Okay. Let me see. Share screen.
I'm sure he has a treasure trove full of stuff.
Oh yeah, because why would they raid his house?
Yeah, because I learned that in about a treasure trove. I worked in internal affairs in my previous job, and when I first started doing my interviews and my investigations, people, they would come in and they'll say, well, yeah, I did this, but this person did this, 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 and this. And they'd start naming off dates, times, who was present. And that's when I found out, I realized that people keep these little things, and it's called a treasure trove, so that somewhere down the line, they may need to pull a little piece of treasure out, to say, this is why you won't touch me or my family, because I have this. So them raiding his house is probably to get his treasure trove.
Yeah, but he's not going to have it there.
Oh, no.
No.
Did
The
you?
rich and the powerful know how to hide things.
Sorry.
Can you guys see the screen that I have?
No, I already put that all participants can share. Let me try this again.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, no.
That's weird.
No, it didn't come up. Oh, hold on a second.
Okay. This is where we would edit, but I don't
Yeah.
edit, and I don't care to know how to edit.
There we go.
Ah. Now I want the sweater. No, I'm just kidding.
I know the cat sweater is cute. All right, so this is Donald Trump. This is Uncle John. And he was a physicist, the younger brother of Mr. Trump's father, Fred. John passed away in 1985 at the age of 78, according to an obituary in the New York Times. And according to MIT, Professor Trump focused on high voltage phenomena, electron acceleration, the interaction of radiation with living and non-living matter. He also designed X-ray generators for cancer therapy. During World War II, Professor Trump researched radars for allies, and when legendary physicist Nikola Tesla, 1943, when he died, Professor Trump was asked by the FBI to examine Tesla's papers and equipment. Professor Trump co-founded a company making generators for use in nuclear research, according to MIT archives. So there he is.
It's funny how they say the FBI asked. Nah, man, they raided his apartment in New York. They didn't ask.
So anyhow, that's their connection.
Yeah, and of course
And
this
we're
was to
looking
open
at
up
something.
the wormholes, you know, for CERN and all that. Oh, we were talking about this, you guys. So this dude here, Jessica brought up how that he looks kind of like the guy from I Dream of Jeannie.
He's over the Space Force.
Yep.
Of the United Air Force general, and he was part of, I don't know if we can see it with the screen here. I'll move it. I think his name, I forget the name of the guy from I Dream of Jeannie, but yeah, he was over the Space Force at some point, and it says it here. He was born in Germany. So and he was there, I think, before. Yeah, I think he was. I'll look at the date here. He was a member of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board under President Ronald Reagan. In 2004, the Space Foundation, International Space Hall of Fame.
I was programmed with Reagan when I was in school, and I couldn't wait till I turned 18 to vote for that guy. I'm like, how could I have? Yeah, we
That
did
picture.
a lot of science, a lot of stuff. I was even NASA supposedly it was a game. They went into my fourth grade class and they selected me and other kids to be their NASA astronauts. So that guy there.
Yeah.
So he was with
It's
Warner
interesting that Werner von Braun we were looking at earlier, who was also over the Space Force.
And see how
And
that
the
triangle,
Moon Project and all that.
that star in the middle reminds me of that bill that was given to me by that young kid in my memory.
This one right here.
But it was on the bottom, so it's a bill that he gave me, 5555, a maroon planet, and then that star on the right hand side of it. That's interesting. It's all shiny.
Well, up here is, they have it again.
Yeah, so what is that supposed to be, Aldebaran, or is that supposed to be the new Earth wormhole that they want to open? I wonder what that star.
Yeah, there's different interpretations of that.
Yeah, because if it's an 8, then we go back to the Roman times, the 8-stranded DNA people. That's interesting right there that gray. It says US Space Force. Yeah, that one's interesting. The spaceship.
Yeah. It looks like
Well,
some kind of patch. It's a patch.
yeah, like they're
There's the
opening.
flag and there's the patch. And you don't really hear about this a whole lot until Donald Trump starts talking about it. But you see, here's Werner von Braun is mentioned.
I was all
There's
happy.
Schriever that we just looked at. Bernard Schriever.
You know, I was happy when he showed the flag because I'm like, oh yeah, they're finally gonna, you know, we're finally gonna be announced that we're real, we're not faking, you know, we're not delusional. And nope, he never talked about us. It was just the new Space Force, but we all know it's not.
You mean the SSP? Regarding the SSP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was all happy, and
So
I'm like,
anyhow, but that video that you had was related to questioning what was going on with the United States Space Force and what they were all about, what they were doing. Oh, look at they talk about the Falklands War as well, where all the black goo came from.
it's an
A lot
actual
here.
black rock, we'll say, quote unquote, right, Jessica? And they can
Yeah.
boil it to a certain amount of degrees, and then it's the black goo that they use in everything, and that's supposedly alien technology. So you
Yeah.
see all the movies, they're always, even there's a kids movie, The Minion. I haven't seen it all, but my
Mhm.
mom's telling me, yeah, they're after this cube, and I kind of looked up the trailer, and I'm like, wow, another cube they're after.
I know. It's well, they're conditioning the children. So it's intriguing. I mean, I like it when people start looking at things and start looking at the symbology and what they're trying to do. And when he pointed out about the Egyptians, I have been seeing them quite a bit and seeing that they're very involved, but it's not the traditional Egyptians that we're looking at, but this group that got a hold of power. So they were I don't know, it was a weird.
Aldebaran?
No, the Egyptians. So
Oh,
the Egyptian, this was a group of Egyptians that were not gods, but got access to the gods when they left their bodies. The gods don't need bodies. I mean, it's really for our benefit.
are you talking about the supposedly the Zahami? The Draco
Zaha.
Zahami?
No. I'm literally talking about what I was seeing is it was a group of maybe slaves or people that were kings that weren't necessarily divine or not divine, considered gods, because I mean, well, we're all have a bit of divine in us, but I mean, it's they were misusing the power. They were trying to gain power, and that was the problem. And so they did something with they found like the blood or some of the flesh or something, and they were enhanced themselves, almost became like vampiric, like, you know,
Okay,
or
then
some,
that's
which brought in these kind of things that, yeah, it was really weird.
yep. That's right.
But we also have this group of vampires that was over in Iraq and Iran from Dark Pictures anthology that Peter talked about.
When I was
But
a kid, I would go
they're
to
influencing.
sorry, I'd go to sleep like this, and I'm like, bite me. I was fascinated and enamored by. I wanted to be a vampire. Then I wanted to be a werewolf. I'm like, why?
A vampire or an Egyptian?
I want to be a vampire.
Or do you think that you have, maybe they're in your
Oh, yeah.
presence, so you were just
Well, I think they're in my bloodline. The vampires, and have to have meat all the time. I mean, if I could have meat every day, I would. I get really angry if I don't eat on time.
You know, Veronica.
I don't sleep at night, but I don't know. But go ahead.
The part about meat, I've had to like reel myself in, because I always had this thing growing up until probably 10 years ago. When I would eat, if I started to get full, I finished the meat first. and I'd leave the vegetables and everything else, or I'd make sure I finished the meat portion of my food before everything else. And then I used to get really angry if I was getting hungry or getting close to a meal, because I remember in high school, I'd be eating, kids walk around and they're like, "You gonna eat them fries? Can I have a sip of your drink?" They used to do that stuff. And I would be huddled around my food, and the other people would say, "Please don't ask her for her food because she will take your hand off." And I was like that when I was hungry. I was like this. And afterwards, I was the nicest person. So I don't know what that carnivorous part of me was, but it was a pretty strong part of my personality when it came to food. It's crazy.
Well,
There's something also about anemia too,
Yeah.
it's almost like the blood, some of the bloodlines had issues with their blood being anemic, and it created other health issues. And so the craving for meat or some of the blood in the meat was something that they needed, or as a type of iron.
Yeah, like when I was pregnant, both times they had to give me iron pills because I was anemic, and I'm like, "How I'm so big," like tall, big. I've always been, and of course that has to do with the Nephilim, red hair, bloodline too. But
You were naturally redhead?
yes,
You were naturally. And how tall are you?
5'7.5". Iris met me.
Amazon.
We're Amazon ladies.
It's funny that you were mentioning that when you were pregnant about the iron, because that happened to me. My toenails and fingernails started turning dark. And my mother was a nurse, and she goes, "You need iron." I go, "What do you mean?" So once a week, I had to go to her house, and she would cook me liver. So I would, and once I start eating it, my nails, they came back to their normal color. But that was, how they explained. I go, "Well, what's happening?" "Well, that's the baby taking all your iron, or the baby taking this from you and that." But my toenails and fingernails started turning dark, and she said, "You need more iron." And she would cook me liver once a week. For months I had to go over there, and don't get me wrong, I was one of the few people that liked liver, smothered in gravy with rice. So yeah, it was delicious.
It's good for you. You need it. You need it for, otherwise you become weak or sick, run down and unhealthy. But yeah, when you're pregnant, I think it's typical for that to happen. I've heard, that from many women.
I lost my color in my face also. I had white spots.
I had brown patches. I still have the brown here from when, because a lot
So
of,
like affected like the melanin.
yeah.
Yeah. And I got I got little bit of white spots too.
Really?
But
No,
I think that has something to do with, that's the thyroid and some other areas, but I attribute that to being exposed to something.
I think it's the
Because-
bloodlines too, because I have the Moore bloodline on my mother's side. So I'm thinking we must go through some kind of transformation when we're pregnant. So I've talked about it before. I'm O negative, my whole family is. So I had to get the Rogam shot when I was pregnant, the first trimester, and then after the babies were born, and their blood turned into O positive. So, but what I don't get is, why is my mom O negative and I'm O negative, and my father? Did they give her a shot? What happened?
So all three of you are O negative?
Yeah, my mother, my father, my grandfather, and my grandmother on both sides of my family, and all my sisters and my mother. So we come from the we're all kind. Anyway, Jessica, take over because I've gone officially topic. Right on time.
Well, we're going to talk about menopause or something.
Oh, heck
Before we go there.
I wanted to do a class on that. Ooh, I can't stand it. Every night I'm like, oh my gosh, I either get hot, and then the cold flashes are the worst. I'm like, then you have to bundle up,
I never went through any of that. I never went through any of that. I don't understand. I have people saying, "Oh, don't you know how this feels?" And I'm like,
Hell,
I don't know what happened. I never got it.
well, to me, I just drench in a lot of sweat, and what I have to drink is these stupid pills, Amberen. Sorry, you're
Yeah.
not stupid, but you know, I won't take. Sorry, I won't take anything that messes up with my hormones, like estrogen or nothing like that. I feel that
No.
our masculine comes in. Like, you think you're done in this life, girl? Chandra, bring in the guy, and here we go.
Yeah, some really weird things happen when people get older. Not just for a woman, but for men as well.
Yeah, I just want
But
to.
that's the biological effect. But I think there's also some of our environmental issues too that are enhancing things. Yeah. Yeah. I just saw this crazy thing on about the water and how that people were seeing there was nanotech in the water, some bottles over in England. Remind me, I'll give you the link so people can take a look at it. I mean, I don't know if I'm not a scientist, but I wouldn't be surprised if just if they're getting water from the springs and what is going on in our environment. There's a lot of things that are unhealthy. So you almost have to always take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's a cute cat.
Thank you. I have 2 cats and a German Shepherd, and they're all girls. We girls rule. But I was gonna share that video that I sent you guys, but I there's something wrong with my email. Did you
Which
want
video? The one that you sent us earlier?
the one about the Devil's Space Force thing? Because he was showing about the water, how he personally, and I know he's reading, was in Denver, in I think somewhere in the East Coast, delivering personally water. And a lot of people have said, oh, fluoride's in the water, don't drink the water. Well, what I do is I put some shungite in my water, put it outside for a whole day and a whole night, or 3 days and 2 nights if I want to. And that's how I do my holy water, and I just drink it. And I ask the water to help me, my DNA, to create new electrons, protons, neutrons, atoms, and to help me heal, to get rid of the parasites, especially on full moons, because we got parasites in our system. That's how I do it. And I was telling one of my bodybuilding friends, she's in Las Vegas. I won't say her name because she watches the show. She doesn't want to come out yet. She is a super soldier, but she tells me, I drink that water and I transmute that shit. And I'm like, I do too, girl. It's like, it's all what you create in your mind, what you want to put forth.
I'm getting that video for you
Okay.
so we can show it, but we can't really, for copyright reasons, we'll
Yeah.
not,
Just
run
maybe
it,
show the
but-
little cartoon thingy. Oh, now they're chasing each other. Let me go off camera, but go ahead and talk, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay.
You sure? There she goes. What video is it? Because I was looking to see if I got it.
Space Force and the Devil. It's on Odyssey, and it was very interesting.
Yeah, that one. I'll be back. Ah, sorry.
From the scariest movie ever.
Okay.
And it was thought-provoking. We'll look at some of the images that he had. I'm just going to find some of those points that she mentioned earlier. And here are the images. And this is supposed to look like CERN.
Yeah. And that's the Egyptian on the left.
Yeah. And the numbers he was pointing out.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that
I mean, it's clearly Egyptian looking.
Yes, it is.
So we'll keep that here for a second.
Mhm.
And
That's the one,
yeah,
sorry. That's the one that I was telling you, that it kind of reminded me of that vision that I had. I was in a cave and then this triangle was behind the person that came out and he had a white turban and a white dress and he showed me his hands, he had holes in them and he presented them to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is that? I thought it was Jesus, but it's not. And then I looked at
it
the
was
Huh?
Sanat Kamara
Mhm. You
from
see
the
that?
Ascended Master.
Yeah, you see that the pharaoh right there? That's
Yeah.
that's supposed to be the 33, you know, the spine, the vertebrae and all that. Jacob's ladder, right?
Yep. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and the star. It's
And what we showed earlier, this is what you were talking about earlier.
that one. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit off camera because they're chasing each other.
So that's supposed to be the Egyptian,
Yes.
or it's a chimera. He called it a chimera,
Chimera.
which is kind of a hybrid. And then this is the chimera coming out of CERN.
Right. And they want to open the portal to take supposedly the new earth. That's why there's a bunch of slabs up there, out there. And then they pointed out the 33. They made sure it was 311. Okay, because 311, and remember Beyonce came out with the song 711. There you go.
That was the hat
Yep.
that you were talking about earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
And then turn this upside down, and then he pointed out that it's like Baphomet.
Oh, wow, yes. Look at
It's the
that.
face, the goat, the ears,
Uh-huh.
and
The horns.
And that star. It's a 5-pointed star. So that to me means it's the SSS Queens and SSS Kings.
whether they're doing it on purpose or it's becoming subliminal, because we're getting
Yep.
some of this information subliminal that we actually, like, I see myself drawing things, you know, like doodling or whatever, and I'm looking at them saying, what am I doing right here? And you start to realize that there's something else in the background that's trying to come through that you've looked at. But this gentleman talks, and then the person in question was this person right here, which
The actor.
the actor, well, they're calling him an actor because he does not have the name that he says that he has. It's not accurate. I don't know if I have it. He talks about these different people and their names. I don't know if there was someone that debunks it. So you'd have to have a link of the other show that debunks some of this information.
Yeah.
Although on the other hand, like I said, I don't know, you know, I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't necessarily say it's all incorrect, but I do want to see the facts. And if some of these names don't add up, then either they chose to hide the names, or the individuals, when they approached him, gave him these names, which were a variation of the actual name. So this is the way that maybe the alphabet group is operating. And then they talk about the Men in Black and how there was a hybrid there.
And then some people say,
I
oh,
thought
the Men in Black are supposed to be good. They're the tall whites. Well, not all of them are good. Not all of them are bad. It's always in the middle.
Well, he said that in this testimony, he talks about being initiated into the Men in Black. And that is because I think he would fit into a certain criteria where, you know, he didn't have any family. He came from a foster home. He had no one that would be looking for him, no children, no wife, kind of a loner, not even any friends. So he said that he was a candidate for something like this.
Well,
And
if
of
you
course,
think,
intelligence and other things
yeah,
come
if you
into
look
play.
at the movie, sorry, the Gray Man on Netflix, you know, it's about the Manchurian candidate, how he was a felon or something, and they took him out of prison for that stuff.
Yeah, and then they talk about what they do to children, that these grays would come in. I mean, we're encouraging you to, you know, this guy did a good job to at least listen to the channel, The Scariest Movie Ever. And so he talked about how the Greys showed up and they made an agreement. And
They tortured the children, and then the ones that didn't survive the program, they would put in a, you know, fire setting.
yeah, the Greada Treaty, or sometimes they call it Grenada
Yes.
Treaty, that where they have an agreement with the government that, or the governments, that they are going to be taking children. And then there was a question as to whether or not there were how many children have been missing.
And then it was Eisenhower, right? The president who said, okay.
Eisenhower.
Well, I mean, I think it doesn't matter who is in position when the Greys come in, and no one's going to be able to say no.
How do we stop this? How do we got to just keep talking, right?
If you just, they are very mesmerizing. They have power. They can leverage things. So even if he wanted to say no, I don't think he really had a choice. They set up this agreement, and that was the Phoenix Light project. So he was talking about Project Bluebeam, and how they were going to deceive people by bringing in.
Well, I have memories of the Phoenix thing, but they're blocked, and I know I was there.
Yeah, but it was a projection. And you still are seeing different types of spacecraft around the world that people are showing on social media, and some of them could be from Project Bluebeam. And he talked about underground bases. It was a very, very interesting video. And here's a testimony of someone that had an encounter with ETs and what they went through. And this Egyptian.
Oh yeah, how this Egyptian God came to the people as their creator. And you know, a lot of people think that we were created, but we are the bioluminescence. We are not created or destroyed ever. You know, and some people are falling into the whole Tesla thing, which he's also a puppet. Elon, you know, Elon.
Yeah.
And they're.
And he's involved with the Space Force.
Oh yeah. A lot of people are worried about the AI, you know, physical robots, and I'm like, you guys, AI is in your phone, it's in your TV, it's in your laptop. Like, everybody's worried about, oh, they're going to take over our jobs. I'm like, really? And there's another video where they talk about that the only two options are going to be supposedly going to Mars and living in the VR world, and or working for Amazon. the Google, the G Mafia that I talk about. You know, G Mafia, which is Google,
yeah,
Microsoft, you know, Apple. And then you got IBM, you got all these Amazon, all that. But anyway, Iris, do you want to talk about that dream that you had? And then I showed you the black phone that I saw, because I don't know.
Which dream?
The one about the babies.
Before you do that, can I just finish this for a second?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring in that last, because this is the other one we were talking about, in case people are looking. And that's debunking Joseph.
That's the one I was watching before we came on.
Right. Oh, okay. So that was the debunking one. So anyhow, that's I'll just.
Yeah, show a little bit of that, especially in the beginning where they talk about, oh, supposedly the, you know, alphabet soup was done in the 70s, but nope, it kept going. That one.
Yeah, well, this is MK Ultra here. He's talking about him and providing information. Here's some interesting different levels that they reach as far as the black projects or the military projects. And there's that, and this was a census that he brings up. He was looking for people that were mentioned. William T. Latham was one of the people that he mentioned. He mentions this guy on an interview, Michael Gerloff, and mind wiping. He was talking about mind wiping. That was interesting. He talks about the Men in Black TV show. See
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah, that alien technology for mind wiping. They
Yeah.
gave me a pen in one of my memories. There's this short dude with a black suit. He kind of looked like a penguin, a fat penguin. It was so weird. He gave me a pen and he said, wait, before you go on an airplane with me, he said, put on this black dress that had a slit on it. Like, what? Then on the airplane, he gives me a pen. Really?
Yeah, which probably had another purpose, like you said. Here's Phil Schneider. They were looking for a base. He was questioning what base this was that he was talking about.
He called it Vanguard.
I live
Vanguard.
in Fort Huachuca myself.
Supposed to be in Arizona. In northern part of Arizona. He couldn't find it.
So
like
yeah,
that
there's
ship
movies
from
and other
Prometheus.
things.
Wait, that ship right there was in one
From
of
Prometheus.
that ship was in one of my memories, but it was all circular, and on it had like, because I've had also memories of the beings that are like raven, but they're like gold and bronze, and they threw this thing at me that was kind of like a boomerang. But when I saw it next to me, because I was saving my daughter from this horrible thing, and I picked it up, and it looked like a nail, and I threw it back, and then I went outside, and there was a tall white queen, short hair, and everybody was in line, and they said, oh, you got to drink from this chalice. And she poured her water, and then she had us pour our water in there, and then when she poured her water, there was a guy with me, I don't know who he is, she poured the water in there in a basin porcelain tub thing, and she's like, drink it. I'm like, hell no, I'm not gonna drink it. So then she turns around, she gives me a lit red candle, and with a gold thing on the bottom, and I said nope, and I broke it, and then I woke up with, right when it was all the wax and everything was burning on my hands. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do what you say.
I think I've dealt with her before too. She's not very. She's very controlling. So that's they're pointing out different movies and Phoenix Forgotten, Project Bluebeam. They have a Messiah because you saw like a Messiah type of guy.
I saw in one of my visions that they were gonna either put that fake Jesus or the Archangel Michael, or it could be Virgin Mary, quote unquote. And I was talking about it live with a family member a few years ago live on YouTube, and they cut my feed when I said that.
So that's how he ends it.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah. That's part of what they would probably project, something that would be majestic looking. Sorry about that, Power Lady, for interrupting your talk.
No. Not at all. Well, the thing that Veronica was talking about was something I had sent you a little message about. I don't know if you wanted to talk about it on here. It was something I saw. And when I told her about it, it was about a suitcase, and she said that she'd seen it too. I could read it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is how my dreams go. I was in my bedroom laying down and I looked around and I heard my son. He came running into the room. He had a huge suitcase. He said that the suitcase came from me. I opened it and it was full of many things that looked a lot like children's things, like packaged toys that you would see at a store for purchase. I told him that I remember seeing a notification on my phone that I had a delivery coming, but I didn't remember saying anything to him. So then I went into a room and I believe he followed me, and it was full of children's toys or games. It was like a place of activity for children. Everything was neat and organized on the counters. I was walking around and looking at all this children's stuff that was displayed and hanging from racks. I continued walking to the back of the room and I saw there was a counter. Behind the counter, I saw some ladies or people, and they were standing back there with tables in front of them. They saw me and they looked shocked. I said, "What are you guys doing here?" I was really loud. They said, "Oh, we just had some last minute clients." I said, "Do you know what time it is? It is late. You guys need to leave." I remember it was about 11 p.m. It was something that had to do with children. I remember one person had what looked like a little naked baby doll in their hands on the table in front of them, and another one was wearing one of those old-time nurses hat on their head. They were telling me that they were getting ready to leave, and I didn't believe them, so I started walking angrily to the end of the counter to go behind to get them out of there, and that's when I woke up. So that is what I had told Veronica about. I said that's, I believe I was in something that where they were taking children or had took children or were doing things to children, because I saw all these toys hanging on the wall. They were like the packaged toys you would buy for children, for birthdays or Christmas. And then I saw like circular racks that had toys, hanging on them, and you can just spin them around. And they were all these people behind the counter. And they all looked at me like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And it's like when I went back there to, get rid of them, make them leave, that's when I woke up.
And I think I was in the same place because let me rewind real quick. There's a pool, dark water. I had on a white blouse with some pants and I had my suitcase. And there was kids there. And then I said, well, and there was cops, the cops that I worked with before. And I'm like, well, I guess they're swimming, and I guess I'm gonna go take a dive because my favorite thing to do is diving. So I dove in there and I got out and I was still, dry. And I had my suitcase open. So I was getting ready to go somewhere. And one of the officers, he looked like if he had on a rubber suit that was like skin, like pale, no hair on it, but just on his hair, on his top. And then this old man comes to me in glasses. He's balding. He has a little bit of gray hair. And he's wearing a dark uniform, almost black, navy blue, with a red thing on the lapel. Like, I don't know if it's Space Force or what. And he looked at me. "I just want you to know, we will be with you when the snake marries the." And I'm like, I woke up. I'm like, okay, what's that? So a friend of mine was saying that it could be when the snake marries the spider. I'm like, okay. And then after this, I still have my suitcase and I go into this place where it's all clean. The floors are clean. The walls kind of look like a beige and kind of like wood a little bit on the bottom. And then I look at this huge toy box that's cardboard, huge rectangular box on the floor. And I look at it and I have my suitcase here. There's what did you say, Iris? The
counter.
Counter. And I see the counter, and then I look over there, and there's a bunch of people over there, women, children. I don't know what's going on, but I stop and I look, and I see this phone. I'm like, is that my phone? What is this toy box doing there? And it's a all black receiver, and it has the dial here and in the middle, and then it has a silver cord with the lock on it. And I'm like, was that mine? What's this doing here? And I had another memory that ties into this, where My grandma sitting here, she's passed on. She was my favorite grandma. I was her favorite, kid. And I'm like, Nana, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Baja because my mom's family's from Baja California. Oh, I'm gonna go visit my family there. I need you to mail this package for me. I'm like, okay. And then she says, but before I go, come with me. And so we go to this place there. It's like an atrium, and then it turns into a hospital. And then there's these pillars, plexiglass pillars all around. And there's these people with button down shirts. They're like examining these babies, and these babies have blue paint on them and they're crying. Blue babies, O negative blood type. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
But did it look like it was patchy,
Yeah.
the way that the paint was on there? So
Yes.
they were labeling them or coloring them for IDing them, like numbering them or something.
They were crying, and
Um,
was so sad. I just wanted to help them because I was like a teenager in this dream, and I'm like, I want to go help the babies, but there's a bunch of like medical staff around. It's kind of weird.
You almost, when you were talking about yourself, you almost look like a babushka woman, like you had the scarf on your head and when you were talking to that officer, it's almost like you were part. You remember that scene with it's like a carnival scene. I believe it was with Charlie Chaplin, and there's a woman holding a camera. That's what you look like.
I'm fascinated by the gypsies. My family on my dad's side is all gypsies, so I don't know if it has something to do with that. And then I love the Russian dolls. I've always wanted those ones that pop and then they're like,
Yeah.
and my
nesting
daughter, she
dolls.
looks like a mamushka doll. She has a picture, she has her little red thing and she's like this. And I'm like, I call her my mamushka.
But that's what I saw you. I saw you like looking like that, and you were doing some kind of I don't know, some kind of work or showing up somewhere. Maybe it was a program. Maybe you were that babushka woman that was time traveling.
Yeah, I know I'm a time traveler. I say I'm Andromeda 1800 from Andromeda. And I always have my suitcase on and I still have it. I got it when I was in high school. I don't know how. And I time travel with it. Bring back myself relics. People will give them to me. I'm like, whoa, because I have this coin that I talk about. I have it hidden because they broke into my apartment about a year ago, and I know they were looking for that. And it's a skull in the front of it, and it has all these little numbers and little digits, old one, around like Stargate. You flip it around, and in the back it has Mars colony on there. And my friend Colin was telling me, hey, that looks, maybe you have the original Pirate of the Caribbean thing, but these that they're selling online, they don't have the the building in the back. It totally looks like the Mars colonies. So I must have sent that back to me for a reminder because I know I was using the Stargate 1 program.
But I think this is a Monarch too, and like Solar Warden and
Oh
some of
yeah.
these other
Oh yeah. I was
corporations that were involved in bringing people in.
sadly.
So the both of you there witnessing, because Monarch does take children. Monarch's definitely involved. And that's probably what you're witnessing. And they act like that. They're very evasive, like, oh, I'm not doing anything. They're usually like that. They try to like blend in and they act, like very innocent or, like unaware. They'll act like they're unaware, but they do know. Yeah, I can usually pick them out, and that's kind of the way that they act. Like, well, what are you doing here?
Oh,
Just very nonchalant.
Yeah, we were just finishing up.
Mhm. Oh yeah, so then you're second thinking why you're questioning them. They don't act defensive. They just act like they're the ones that are supposed to be there.
But I know as soon as I tried to go behind that counter, they made sure I woke up because
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. And they probably did a wipe of half the stuff that you got.
When I woke up and I got up, drank a cup of coffee, and I went back to sleep, then I can't talk about this here, but I was warned and attacked, and I was told that something was going to happen to me and they showed me what was going to happen if I didn't allow them to do what they wanted. So I'll talk to you about it at another time. But this happened probably a few hours after I saw, you know, the thing with the kids, so the children's stuff. So
Veronica, I just saw that guy, the one that you said had like an insignia or looked like he was part of the Space Force. He handed you a brown leather wallet.
He had something in his left hand, and I
Yeah.
don't remember what, and he said, "I'm here to tell you this." And then that's when he said that. Oh my goodness. So what is that? My
You
new
dropped it.
I'm
It's yeah, you there was some ideas in there for
okay.
you to go and do whatever you were going to do. It dropped on the ground though. And then I think someone else picked it up and used your IDs because you got pulled out.
That's when I woke up.
That could
Now,
be
when I woke up, I went into another realm where it was Susan and I. We were in a brown plexiglass thing, and I think I sent it to you, or Iris. And there's like a chrome thing around it, and we were taking showers, but we had clothes on. I'm like, we're not getting wet. What's going on? And then to my left, I saw this big black man disfigured. His teeth were up here, his eyes were up down here. He was holding something. And I told Susan, she's like, yeah, that's the disinfectant chambers. And I'm like, what?
yeah,
the
I saw like this smoke. Yeah, not smoke, but mist.
Miss?
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. Did you what's your connection to the mantids?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
When I was
asked.
all right, we're here. So when I was a kid, I used to play with mantids, and my dad saw me one time. He's like, "Don't, no lo tientes, don't touch it. They're bad." And I'm like, I was looking at the mantids, looking at me, looking at the mantids, but I like them. And then, I love the mantids when I was a kid. And then I have another memory where,
But they're cool looking because they're, you know, small, but they seem very intelligent. They're
yes,
almost like human, the
yes,
way that they pose.
Where they
And
move.
yes, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because there's another memory where it's like there's a quinceañera going on, and we're all dressed up, and I see this mantid that has a face of a human with square glasses, and he's wearing a thing around his head that's clear, and he has a mantis body holding a baby, a fat baby. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here? And then I go to a closet, and that was it. But he was very nice. That it was a young teenager mantis holding a baby. It was his brother or something, or I don't know. That's one memory. And then this memory is, oh gosh, I don't have the drawing right here, but we were in a hotel room, and they were holding me and my super soldier female friends in a room. And there's this white dude that comes, with his suit, with just the top button down, white shirt, black pants, and he's on the other side of the door, and he's like, if you don't come with us, we're gonna blow everybody up. And there was like a claymore on the bottom. I have the drawing. It was like squarish claymore with a bunch of little square things and hookups, and it was on the floor. And I don't know how I got rid of that. And then by the time he opened the door, I was only able to take files. I'm always taking files of my friends with me running. I have many memories of running with files. And I said,
because other people take identities in those spaces. So like I said, I just saw you with that wallet and you grabbing the files, because otherwise then they're using your identity and doing all sorts of things that could possibly cause you problems. Well, usually do cause you problems.
Dang. So thank you. So I run with these files, and I tell the girls, come on, let's go. And then we're outside, and there's a girl beside me with black hair, and we're looking up, and it's like a school setting, like a university setting outside. We're on the top of the roof, and here comes an oval shaped egg mantids ship. And they throw a line at us, and then we get up, and that's the end of that memory. And here in 2017, I took pictures. I don't have that phone pictures anymore, but I was driving, I'm like, what the hell is that? And there's these little egg drops that were dropping in midair. Mantids. And I took pictures of them and I showed my friend and I go, dude, what are they? She goes, oh, they're mantis ship. I'm like, huh. So I also have a memory where I wake up and there's this ant being looking down at me. I'm like, what the hell are you doing looking at me? So the ant beings, they have these round ear things, kind of like Princess Leia, but they're mechanical and they're ants.
Yep.
And when I was a kid, I used to get the glass and then burn the ants, but now I don't. You know, I'm riding my bike and I'm like, don't squeeze the ants, don't squeeze the insects. I love all the beings here, so it's crazy. Jessica, thank you. And I want to know what my connection is to Max because I have a lot of memories with him. And I didn't even know who he was when I had my what we'll call that awakening. But I started listening to all his stuff and I started crying because I didn't know. I thought he was still alive. And it wasn't until I saw one of the videos that it was a year after I had woken up. I woke up February of 2017 with that light coming out. Because I said, you know, if there's a real loving, we'll say God, a real God that is real, other than these fakes, I want to know. And I was on my knees and boom, that's when the light came out and the loud noise and the light, boom, hit the floor outside. And we went outside, there's nothing there. And so then I was listening to that video where he was taken out. And I cried and cried and cried, like, because I know I was with him in Mars and on, I think it was Solar Warden. We were talking in one of the mess halls. And I won't mention his name, but he said he was jealous because I was always talking to Max. I'm like, he was my friend, dude. Like, that's when they infiltrated me more and more and more. And I'm like, I'm cutting everybody off. My katana's back. With the black hair, she's here.
I think that Max Steel is probably the most talked about and most liked of all the super soldiers. It just people are so emotionally engaged in what he had done, and they're very upset that, you know, that he's no longer with us, and so they get affected by him. I wasn't around the community at that time when all of this happened. I did have people contact me that were in Poland, right, where he was when that happened. There was a eyewitness that I talked to, and she was very distraught over it, and we had a discussion. But I never knew him. I knew that he was around and interacting, and I knew one of his friends very well. But people really absolutely loved him. Male, female, everyone just, you know, admired him, but at the same time, they felt bad for him because they knew he seemed tormented in a lot of ways. So I think it's normal that you feel drawn to him, but I would like to do a regression on you and see what comes up. Sound good?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I say yes, sir a lot because my daughter she says yes, sir to me. Peanuts.
Mhm.
She says, I'm that sergeant. Yes, sir. She said to this day.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, sir. Anyway.
It's a leadership name.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Agreed.
Well, I think a lot of information is going to unfold, and it sounds like there's quite a bit that I know that you're open, but I think there's quite a bit there. It's kind of buried. And a lot of times it's hard to open up certain things because it brings in emotion. So you keep it suppressed. And I've had people say they didn't want to do a regression or they didn't want to do a session with me. Not because they didn't believe in what I did or anything like that. Like these are people that had already worked with me, but they felt that there was something there that they weren't ready to see.
Oh, I'm more than ready, ma'am. I'm more than ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, anything else you guys want to talk about?
I can't think of anything, but of course, there's always a whole lot we could.
Oh, the AI, Jessica, the program. Sorry. Sorry, Iris.
Hey, she found something.
I remember you sent me a text.
I did, but well, I was bringing up information about, I think you said something about being in certain programs, you know, like the Disney program or the I don't know, Scientology. No, not just the Scientology, but like some of the SSP programs that they put women in, or you know, and well, what is
one?
like what?
The sex kitten she talks about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love bites. I should write like 6,000 books on that, but ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ever since I was little.
And that's all related to MK Ultra and some of the different things. And I've had people say that they see, I just had someone yesterday say they saw the Wizard of Oz. They're, you know, seeing the movie play out in their third eye. And that's what they use as a distraction in the programming, with other types of codes, words, and other symbology and you know, numbers.
Oh yeah, I watched that show. I'm not kidding. Ever since I was a kid, I would watch it every year because it would go on the TV. My mom would be like, "Acuérdate, el Wizard of Oz, but you know, it's gonna be on this day. You gotta watch it." And she would watch it with us, and I'm like, you know,
yeah.
I mean,
I watched it every year. The old one.
Yeah.
I watched. What about Humpty Dumpty?
oh gosh, yeah, we used to sing that one. Oh, Iris, we were talking the other day about that you know game that we like. This is the way.
Miss Mary Max.
Miss Mary Mac. This is how I
Yeah.
all dressed in black.
Yep. With
So
silver
got
buttons.
buttons all on her back. She jumped so high. She touched the sky. She won't come back to the 4th of July. That's how I sang it. And then Miss Iris sent me the lyrics. I'm like, I've been singing it wrong all these years.
That's why you learned it. Yeah.
But with this Humpty Dumpty, I remember this was probably a couple weeks ago. I was looking at a train. I was in a train, and I saw this guy who looked like Humpty Dumpty. He was dressed in a suit though, and he was carrying a briefcase, and he was running past the train, and he was saying like, I'm late, I missed my train, And I'm sitting on the train looking at him because he looks like an egg, and he has on like a suit, and he has a briefcase, and he's running, singing or saying, I'm late, I missed my train. He's just going, I'm just watching him. And of course I wrote it down, but it was just a weird piece of something. I didn't know what it was.
Was that a dream or what was that?
Yeah, it was. There was more that was happened before that, which I don't remember. It's written down somewhere, but that was significant when you're talking about like the programs like Alice in Wonderland, The Wizard of Oz, and I remember seeing Humpty Dumpty.
That reminds me of the Polar Express. I used to watch that show with the kids and all those altars that Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah.
Where were they
No,
taking?
go there, Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
Boy, he influenced a lot of people with many of those movies that he was in.
My favorite one was Big, the magician. Whenever he would go to the magician and he'd go, and I'm like, ooh, I want to go and be an adult, you know? No, I don't.
Playing on the piano and yeah, being a kid again.
Yeah, my mama and my dad, we would always go to those little carnivals, and oh, my worst one was where we had to go to the haunted house because they would touch us in Mexico. They would touch us, and I'd be like slapping all them boys, like, stop touching me. No. That one.
I've been to one haunted house, and as I'm going through it, there were people, you know, they'd reach out and touch you and in your legs, and I was hitting and kicking. I have never been in another haunted house other than that one time, because I came out fighting is what it was. So I said, no more for me.
Triggered.
Yeah. And another trigger
Flip
is
someone over.
Yeah, I was kicking back
Kidding.
and punching. Yeah.
heck yeah, I do the same.
Put them in handcuffs.
That was next.
Stop resisting.
That
Why
was-
you running?
This is where you ended up, right? That was your career.
Uh-huh.
Police,
Well,
police force.
you saw me one time. I was telling you about something I saw, and you go, "Well, I see you kicking down the door in your police uniform, and you running and handling business." I remember this was a long time ago.
Chasing someone down and tackling them. Yeah.
Yeah.
You told me about that one, and I remember who you were trying to help.
Uh-huh. You get good memory, girl. Yeah.
And then when you saw him at the Vegas conference, he just who are you? Ignored him.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You
we
think
talked.
he's black,
I told
No,
Jessica about it. I was shocked, but I'm fine now.
heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We know who the real people are, and who the people are that want to be rich and famous on YouTube.
There's a lot
But anyway,
going on.
that one's the mirrors is a trigger when I see Keanu Reeves. He was also in my dream. I sent you guys that.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was spraying on at me, but the ones with the mirror, the third one, John Wick, the mirrors. But in this memory I have of him, there's these two guys, which one of them is Keanu Reeves. They both want to marry me, and I'm looking out the window, and I see these 5 ships and clouds, and then I see the number 7 appear, and then 1053, and I'm like, which Stargate? And I'm going, which where am I going now? You know. But it was these two men trying to marry me, and I'm like, nah. Like I was a teenager, but then my kids were there, and then I told my mom I don't want to marry these guys. And they both moved in next to me. I'm like, heck no. And then Keanu like sprays a Febreze. He's like, I said, what did I do? Like, what happened? So I don't know what they were trying to spray at me.
What?
That's awesome.
Well, did it have a color or was it some air
Yeah.
freshener?
Yeah, he was sitting right beside me. He looked like when he was young in the movie Point Break.
Uh-huh.
And he said, he looked at me like,
That's the surfer.
Yes.
That's the whole surfer stuff that I brought up. I don't know if you listened to me talk to Peter about it.
No,
and how I was saying that in Montauk, a bunch of the kids escaped the programs, and they took off and ended up in California.
I was in California.
Particularly Venice Beach. They were in Venice Beach, and then some of those kids actually, well, there was that skateboarders that they did. There was a movie about something about the dog, something dogs.
Yeah, I always
have
wanted to be a surfer. I always wanted to be a surfer. I lived in.
I think that's what they did. They escaped, and they said, you know, we don't like the way we're being treated, but they had abilities, and they got out, and they hid over it in Venice Beach, and then something happened where I think the handlers from the programs found out and went after them out in California, and we see what happened in California. But yeah. They were just wild.
Remember, you and I had a talk about some kids that I had saw that were on like the BMX bikes.
Yep.
And they were.
I was a BMX person when I was a kid doing the bunny hop. Okay. Go ahead.
Like they were all on these. It was a bunch of them, and they were in like a skate park. Like you go, you know, and I've never BMX'd, I've never skateboarded, but I'm seeing all these kids on these BMX bikes, and there's someone in front of them explaining to them what they're about to do. And I remember talking to you about that, and it was they were coming to do some chaos, you know. But
well, keep in mind that if you look at these surfers and these skateboarders, I mean, they're fearless. That's one of the attributes of the programs. They can do anything. They don't get hurt.
Right.
You know, they just jump off of things, and it's unbelievable what they were able to do. Is they have certain abilities.
Yep, I love Tony Hawk's, man. And then forget about it. I used to do all kinds of tricks with my bike and the skateboard when I was a kid. Shoot, I lost my trail. I thought I was gonna say something that was really, really about this. Oh, well, you guys go ahead. I'll remember.
And while I was looking for that skateboarder movie that I was talking about, and it takes place in Venice Beach.
When I was a kid, I'd go to Venice Beach and Santa Monica Beach, and I'd just swim and swim and swim. It's so much fun over there.
I think it's Dogtown or Lords of Dogtown.
That sounds.
Yeah, let me see if I can. I'll just show you really quick.
Is that Heath Ledger?
Heath Ledger.
And he
Yeah.
was off when he was doing the Joker movie.
Yeah. If you have to watch that movie, you can see. Because I asked Peter about it. I said, I saw this. And then I also had a kid that was part of the programs, and he was a surfer. And he tried to climb through my screen. I was working with a client, and he literally he came through my screen. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I watched him, like, almost like the movie The Ring.
Mhm.
And so I said to Peter, I said, he's coming to do something to me. I don't know, maybe someone sent him, or, it was, I didn't know what it was. And so then I decided to go to Montauk, and then Peter got angry at me for going to Montauk. But I said, hey, they're coming into my space. He's messing with my timeline. I need to know what's going on. And so that's what I did. But yeah, Tony Hawk knew these guys. This is based off of a bunch of kids that actually did live in Venice Beach, and they did know Tony Hawk. So Tony Hawk was like, came in afterwards. They're the ones that started the whole movement.
Me as a kid, I used to do all these things, and then when I had my kids, I bought them the bikes and I bought them the skateboards, and I put them in everything. I even put them in jujitsu. I put them in gymnastics because I wanted them to be warriors, and even my daughter, she hated Brazilian jiu-jitsu because I had to take it because I was in the police academy, and I'm like, there's no way in hell that I'm gonna like not come home. So of course I had to go do the battle with the men and women, but my daughter hated it, and I'm like, Mama, this is for your own good. And now she's grateful, but it's just weird how the programming keeps going. They're kids.
Yeah, well, if they use you for the programs, then they're interested in your children. Yeah. We know that we're all mothers.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's a constant battle. I ask my grandchildren, are you dreaming? What are you dreaming? And the little one says, Grandma, I didn't have no dreams. I'm doing good. And then the other one, she'll wait, and then she'll send me 5 dreams that are this long. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to talk to Jessica about this? Because I know she'll get the message, and she's like, what is she sending me, a book? I said, well, that's what she sent me. And then I have my son, the youngest one. This is going on. I was over here. So you're right. You're in the program, you're doing this, and your children are also.
I remember what I was
things that they shouldn't know about, but they know about.
Yeah. You're right.
I sent you this to both of you. This was like 2 or 3 nights ago. I was supposedly I was back with the ex, and my family was there, and there was these 2 little googly eyes that my daughter showed me. Look, Mom, little googly eyes that shake. She put them on her hand. She goes, look, they're watching us. So we go outside, and there's like a carnival, but then there's a baby blue BW bug. And I was telling our lady that I learned how to drive stick shift at 8 years old or 9 in Mexico, and it was a yellow bug. So I go out there, and then they try and separate my ex and I. Apparently we had gone back to each other. I don't know. He's always in my dreams. I'm like, get out. I'm not interested.
I agree. Mine too. I agree.
Right. And then so we start running because there's these 2 females. One of them has short blonde hair, thin. They're both wearing denim, and one of them has longer blonde hair. They're chasing us, and I had never run so fast ever in my whole life until I started running. She couldn't catch up to me. We were separated, he and I. And then she comes around, and the carnival's going on, and she shows up with her bug, the blue bug, and she's driving it so fast. And I climb up the fence, and I fail the first time, and then the second time I climb over and I wake up. Now, the other part of this dream is they're after my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, hell no, you're not. And so she throws something at me, and I'm in front of a mirror, and this bitch is right here, and my daughter's here, and I'm looking at myself, and there's this nail right here, and my skin is here, and then one on the bottom of my back. I'm like, oh, hell no. I put them in the box too. So
Yeah, those are implants.
Huh?
Yeah, implants.
Like, nope.
So, I did a whole thing on clowns because they
Oh no.
shapeshift into clowns a lot. It's really weird. They're like
Clowns.
they're creepy, and also they look like white demons sometimes. But some of these groups, that group going after your children is probably Monarch again.
Yeah,
That's
you want to talk about our memories?
What memory?
It'll trigger you. Okay, so I have this reoccurring dream. I'm at a gas station in an old station wagon, like those brown ones, ugly ones. And there's me and a bunch of kids in the car. And I don't want to get down in that gas station, but I get down and I go through this huge house that's blue inside, and all these clowns have knives and everything, and there's blood everywhere, and there's these this is not for kids, by the way. I'm code breaker. Super soldier lady talk, by the way. So they're in these stainless steel gurneys, and I'm like running. I'm running. And that's a reoccurring dream. And Power Lady and I were talking about circus.
Circus.
If you want to talk about that, because I know that in that building, could be wrong, but I don't know if it's the 13th building or I don't know how many flights up, but there's something there, or was there.
At Circus, probably maybe 3 weeks ago, I was there, and they have like, you'll see like the casino, the machines, the tables, the food places. But once you go in through like the employees only doors, there are so many hallways and rooms and doors. Well, in this dream, I was in the executive offices, and there were a couple of ladies there, and I was saying I was coming there to apply, and I met this man on the stairs, and because there's so many doors, and you go through a door, and there's little like the stairs are like really closed in, and I was going up these stairs, came to a landing, and this guy jumped out at me, and he goes, boo, like he was a clown. I don't know if he was, but he was doing something to scare me. But there are many passageways that a lot of people don't know about. Some of them are closed off. And when I worked there, I would just go for a walk and, go through those passageways. And it's really strange. That's about all I can say about it.
But you never found anything in any of those?
No, I was like one time was going to apply for a job. This is in my dream. I was going to apply for a job, and then another time I was going to an interview there for burlesque school to learn how to be a dancer at Circus. So it's a lot of strange things that with the casinos going on.
That's interesting because years ago, when I was first married, I was living in Nebraska, and there was a small circus that would go through. I don't remember the name of it. And we got to know all the performers, and I had a background in gymnastics, and we were talking about actually joining them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys there was, and I actually helped with one of the magic shows. And one of the guys there worked for Circus. He was a performer there. And he used to have these like pink dogs.
That sounds familiar because on the second floor of the Circus Hotel, it's called the mezzanine. And every hour on the hour, they would have circus acts. So you get the performers, they would come and do like a trapeze act, you know, the guy with the dogs. You get the clowns. They would be juggling on that you know, little bicycle with the one wheel. But every hour on the hour, every hour on the hour, they would have circus acts up there on the second floor. You know, they have the nets underneath them because what was below them was the casino, the empty casino. I mean, the casino floor with the tables and stuff. So if you were down there, you could look up and you can see and hear, you know, them doing trapeze acts and things like that. I worked there for a year. That was one of the hardest jobs I ever did. I was a food and beverage manager, and they worked me.
I'm
sure they did.
Yeah.
I always want to be a trapeze artist with, you know, the actor and singer Pink. She has a lot of exposure out there, and my commendations to you, Parley. She has you know, when she's talking to, hey, Mr. President, aren't you gonna, you know, what about us? Na 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 na. What about us? You know, Pink, and I hope she's part of the disclosure movement. And anyway, I just went off on that.
I think most of the celebrities are pretty much contracted on a soul level to these programs, corporations.
I agree.
So there was something that stopped me from getting involved because I was, you know, getting close to getting involved in something like that.
What happened? Tell us. Tell us. Dime. Tell us.
Oh, something stepped in and said, no, you got that feeling.
There was just something there that I think it felt unstable. And the thought, I mean, I don't know, I'm up for an adventure, you know, because, you know, I've gone to a lot of different places. But I just thought, you know, this would be really a great, we were kind of like in a open-minded to some other type of career. And my ex-husband, they wanted him as you know, the one that the ringmaster, the one that goes in because he had a really strong voice, and he also was an Elvis impersonator. That he did that in the military.
That's interesting. You said Elvis impersonator, because I actually sang a song on stage with an Elvis impersonator. I've got one picture of me. He's playing the guitar behind me, and I'm at the microphone singing. Interesting. Elvis impersonator.
Is it my favorite song? I Did It My Way. Which song did you sing?
Yeah. that's a Sinatra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I was a Billie Holiday song. I think it was a Billie, or
originally, because I know that
it was the one. I'm trying to think. Natalie Cole song where she scuba up the dwee ya, scuba up the dwee ya, scuba down, scuba up that song. That's what I sang. And he was in the background. That was one of my debuts and my last. I did a little bit of everything like you, Jessica. Probably you too, Veronica.
Yeah. And it's funny because I met Natalie Cole because her son, when I went back to college, her son was there. And I was running the radio station at the time in the college. Yeah. Her and Muhammad Ali's daughter was there as well. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. I was teasing her, and I had a, like, you know, she was swinging at me a few times. So, whoa, okay. She wasn't the boxer. She was the other one. She was the writer, Hannah. But she was pretty talented. She did a lot of poetry like her dad. Yeah. Funny. I didn't know who she was for about, I don't know how many, like a month or a month and a half. She said, "You know who I am?" I said, "No." I said, "Yeah, you're Hannah." So no, we had fun.
You're like,
We
Hannah
had a-
Montana? Which Hannah?
Well, Hannah Montana wasn't around at that time. That was years ago.
Mhm. And well,
But she was a character. She used to make me laugh.
Mhm.
We just would have fun, and it was like an English class or something. And she thought I knew who she was the whole time, but I didn't have any idea. I just liked her, you know.
Well, something similar happened to me. I'm not sure if I told you or Veronica, but there's this girl I was hanging out with that I went to UNLV with. And she said, well, pretty much the same. She had to go by her grandfather's house. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's go. And it was in like an affluent, older part of Vegas. And so I go on with her, and this guy, this elderly man, he's there, and I'm looking at him, and she's like, oh, it's my grandfather, Joe Louis. So she's like, oh, you know. I go, no, I didn't know. I just know you, and we were in class together, and we were hanging out. That was it. So it sounds
It's a similar situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a lot of information. But I did know about Natalie Cole's son, and so she showed up a few times, and I was able to talk to her. She was interesting. Of course, I didn't hear her. She wasn't singing then. I always like to hear her sing.
You know which one I would have loved to meet is Tina Turner, because I can sing like her, and my mama had me watch all her movies, and then when that scene she goes into Buddhism, I mean, I went into Buddhism. I went into all religions until I'm like, no more. I know who I am, but Tina Turner, oh my gosh. What's love got to do with it? Nothing, baby. Nothing. Be out.
Well, I hope this doesn't mean that I have to sing, because then you're gonna kick me off the show.
Yes, you gotta sing.
We'll take a turn singing.
Your turn, Jessica.
Oh no. No, I mean, I think I might, hum a tune or something like that, and then all of a sudden it goes really annoyingly off tune, and then that's it. I'm not, yeah. I know what my strengths and weaknesses are, and I leave it there.
Your strengths are very strong, so yeah, I'm cool with it.
I've had many memories, where I got all my Starseed Super Soldier family with me, and we're in a stage, and we're outside. There's thousands of people out there. Then I've been in classroom settings where I'm in a classroom and they want me to go on stage, but I'm coming on stage from the back. And then there's another one, I think is in Mars, where we had a talent show, and it's just a lot of memories of us speaking, because one of my biggest, we'll say, dreams is to actually have somewhere we can all meet without having to charge a ridiculous amount for us to speak and eat. $100 a dinner. I'm like, where? From where? Because they usually have the same people on every year, and I don't know. I want to do something like that for all of us. Maybe just have people pay for their food or whatever, but
yeah, have a gathering where people don't have to spend a lot just to go there.
You mean like Las Vegas? You mean like
an invitation?
You just got to get here. You got a place to stay. I will go grocery shopping. I go grocery shopping. We will eat. I have a car. Just get here.
We gotta go, Jessica. We gotta go, and she can cook.
I haven't been to Vegas in a long time.
Well, I just want you to know I made shrimp and grits the other morning, so.
Yeah.
I like grits. Yeah.
Yeah. I said, just get here. That's all.
Girl, I
said I was looking for that sweet potato pie.
Oh. Yep. We're gonna do it all. I suggest you lose 10 pounds, then come here. Because you're gonna put it back on. That way you'll
I just have to fix 2 items in my vehicle, and now I'm gone, and I'll tell Jessica, ready? Let's get packing.
Mhm. They just get here. You don't have to worry
One
about
of these
nothing
days
else.
it's gonna happen. One of
It
these
will.
days.
Yeah.
It will.
Well, Miss Power Lady reminded me that we're at the 2-hour mark. So we want to just, I guess, wrap this up and I want to keep going.
Of course we're gonna yeah, but we're gonna do this again. We're gonna
Yes.
do this again.
Of course. Yes, yes, yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's always a
Thank you.
privilege to be here.
Me too. It's an honor for my
Yeah.
2 super awesome ladies,
I
warriors.
love it. I
I
love
got
it.
one right here and I got one right here, and we ready. We ready. I got my knife, kindness, king. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind going around the room and just letting people know how they can get a hold of you, what I usually do is I let the video convert, put it up on YouTube, and then later on I'll write everybody's information. But for now, if you don't mind, Miss Jessica, letting everybody know how they can contact you, and then Miss Power Lady. Thank you.
You can call me sir. No, I'm kidding.
Sure.
I'm only kidding. I mean, I'm female.
I'm not. At least I didn't go like this.
Yeah. I have 2 officers on either side of me right now. I don't know if I ever want to go in that direction. Ladies in blue.
We got you.
Yeah. Okay, so how you can find me for a private session readings by Ariel. That's ARAEL.com. People that know about the work that I do with Peter, that's the ACIO-official.org. We're on the YouTube channel, which is Jessica Ariel Morocco. That's ARAEL. And last name's not spelled like the country. It's MARROCCO.
Sorry, that was me.
Busted.
My Spanish.
And so also we do have 24/7 radio going, playing constantly, and that's the Andromedean Talks radio station.com or radio.com. And we also have Andromedean Talks news.com, where people could see what's going on in alternative media and news. So it is probably more. No, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any call letters on the radio or just .com?
It's just .com. It's internet radio. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is gonna be quick. My baby YouTube channel, Power Lady, PWRLADY, or Gmail, powerlady3@gmail.com. That bees me.
Or Instagram or Telegram or Truth Social.
Oh, yeah, Instagram, yes.
We call it Instagram.
I'm always making up some new name, yeah. I call it Face Crook, but
or fake book.
Yeah. Especially on them dating sites. Get off of those, ladies. Come into your true power. Get rid of that.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I'm done. So I'm Veronica Bartolini, and I'm everywhere. Just Google my name, and I will put all the information. And yeah, we'll do that. So thank you, everyone, for being on Super Soldier Lady Talk.
Okay, we'll see ya.
See ya.
Bye.